the previous years, we had insufficient knowledge and understanding about people who are born with conditions that stray from what society used to deem as normal process of human development. However, as science continued to advance, we now have a better overview about these rare conditions. People who are born with slight differences in terms of cognitive and physical development are called children with special needs. Today, we give special attention to this topic to raise more awareness. This is Dynamic Living, the Total You.
Welcome to Dynamic Living the Total You with our episode, Children with Special Needs. Of course, alam po natin malapit sa ating mga puso yan, ng mga kabataan na nangangailangan ng pangangalaga at pag-aaruga. At ngayon po, I am very much honored to have with me none other than Dr. Stella Guerrero Manalo. She's the head of the Developmental Behavioral Pediatrics in Medical City. She's also the Associate Director, Child Protection Unit at the UP Philippine General Hospital, Associate Professor, Department of Pediatrics at the UP College of Medicine, and the manager of the section of developmental pediatrics in the Philippine General Hospital. Magandang araw po sa inyo, Doktora.
Magandang araw din sa'yo.
Medyo mahaba-haba yung introduction ko, no? Parang amazing. Okay, so anyways po, Doktora, sino-sino po itong mga kabataan who we call as special children with special needs?
Well, I want to change the paradigm of how we view children with special needs. Actually, yung chancellor ng UP actually tagged them in a nice way. He said, they just have additional needs. Okay? Kasi when you think of it, yung mga all children, different phases of their lives, they really have special needs. Diba? Yung infant, may special needs. Yung toddler, may special needs. But children who have some difficulties in terms of development, tumatagal yung needs nila. The parents and the family have to deliver additional or special needs for these children who are lagging in terms of the milestones that they're expected to acquire.
So, ang basihan po ba natin ito, Doktora, for this our special children would be yung developmental milestones nila? Kasi kayo po you are a pediatrician to start with, and then you subspecialize in developmental pediatrics. Yes. So, ang magiging basihan po ba, ang major tool na gagamitin po natin will be the developmental milestone po ba?
Yes, because more or less, even for a lay person, they will look at the child based on, i-compare sa ibang bata, tapos makikita nila, siya parang bakit hindi pa niya na-acquire yung ganyan milestones, bakit hindi pa siya naglalakad, bakit hindi pa siya nagsasalita. So, children with any delays, you can consider them needing special assistance.
Ano po kaya ang kadahilanan nito, Doktora? Bakit nagkakaroon ng mga kabataan na ganito? Kasi minsan yung misconception ng families, no? It's kind of difficult for them to accept, lalong-lalo na kapag na-deliver na sa kanila yung verdict na ang aking anak may delay sa ganito. So sometimes they think, they wonder, bakit naging ganito? So how do we deal with the parents in trying to explain to them na bakit naging ganito ang ating kabataan?
Magandang point yan, no? That's a common question that parents ask, no? Pero lagi ko nga sinasabi, when you look at a child at saka yung development ng bata, hindi lang yan dahil sa bata. Kasi ang bata, they develop in the context of the environment. So malaking factor yung environmental, what's going on in the environment. Like for babies, yung environment nila, yung nanay nila. Okay? So it plays a major factor. What's happening with the mom how she interacts with her baby, and that will determine how the baby develops. As the child grows older, ang environment niya lumalaki. So yung first environment niya, home and family. And actually, that's a constant throughout their life, di ba? Home and family. So if there's something not quite right, and hindi stimulating yung environment, naglalag din yung milestones ng bata. So sabi ko nga, before we blame the child
Are there
for
parents
delays,
really who blame their children for the delays?
I think doctors also, kasi pinapatingnan yung bata at sinasabi, baka there's something wrong with the child.
So that's a wrong statement, Doktora. We should correct that, di ba?
Yes, actually, ang dapat titingnan, lalo na general pediatricians who see children the first 3 years of life, ang role nila is to see, is this child developing in an environment that is optimal for a child's development? Kasi marami ako nakikitang delayed kids, and the kids are fine. It's just that the parents don't talk to them, nobody stimulates them.
Or they're just in front of the television or in the gadgets.
Actually, ako ay gusto ko na i-label yung keeping kids in front of TV and gadgets in the early years as a form of developmental neglect. Kasi young children should not be exposed to any screen time.
That's true. Kasi,
kailangan nila human interaction
So, yung mga ganyan, Doktora, kasi yung ating mensahe ngayon sa ating show na ito is not just for parents actually and for the family members and the community, which we will tackle later. It's more of we should address also our kapwa doctors who get to see them at first. Kasi minsan they need to be educated in terms of catching up the initial stages or red flags, and knowing when to refer to the subspecialists like you, or yun nga sinasabi yung mislabeling na may problema yung bata.
Kaya actually part of, if you're a general pediatrician, the most important thing that you do is not just yung ubusipon, yung sakit ng bata, but as a pediatrician, development is a vital aspect of pediatrics. Kasi nga, ang infant, iba sa toddler, iba sa preschooler, iba sa school age, iba sa adolescent. So in 19 years, a child goes through 5 or 6 phases. And ang training ng pediatrics actually is
will encompass that, di ba?
Biomedical Hindi nila masyadong, kaya ang development, subspecialty. Whereas it should be part and parcel of the training program of pediatricians. Because early years, first 3 years, ang first na encounter nilang health professional for these kids is the pediatrician. So the pediatrician should be able to tell the family, how is it to stimulate a child? What's the best environment for young kids to grow up in? Kasi yung language delay, nakikita namin, it's very common now. It's because walang kumakausap sa mga bata. They're in front of the screen.
O kaya si Yaya naiwan. Si Yaya naman, para may magawa siyang marami sa araw na yan, iiwan si baby sa harapan ng television.
Yes, and that's very bad because a child does not learn language by passively watching something. Language is learned by human interaction. You have to talk to somebody talks to you, then you talk back. And you have to practice that skill so it will be developed. What's the attitude of a young kid in front of the TV or gadget? Nakaganan sa tulala. They're not talking because they're just absorbing everything.
So, Doktora, may iba naman po ako. Why did you choose developmental pediatrics as your subspecialty? Kasi alam naman natin na general pediatrics, okay, hawak na ninyo yon. Pero you have other subspecialties that fall under that umbrella. What made you decide na heto yung gusto ninyong piliin?
Actually, even before pediatrics, I just wanted to deal with children with na may disability. Kaya iniisip ko magre-rehab ba ako or magpe-pedia kasi when I entered pediatrics hindi pa very unknown, nobody knew what a developmental pediatrician was. Yung cerebral palsy parang sa rehab medicine.
Napupunta sila doon.
So parang I wanted those types of patients. Pero nakita ko yung program ng rehab, I have to go through adults.
Ayaw mo.
Kasi gusto ko mga bata. So I went to pediatrics and I saw a pathway. Meron pala sa pedia that deals with children with disabilities. So, sabi ko, pedya muna ako, tapos papasok kong dev. Plus also, well, I wanted kasi, well, I went into pediatrics. Sabi ko, if I'm going to be a mom, I want to know what to do with my kids. I don't want to depend on somebody else. So I went through pediatrics, and then on my 3rd year, I got pregnant, then I had children afterwards. Kaya hindi ako kaagad nag-subspecialize. As a new mom, I was, having difficulty dealing, bakit kaya yung baby ko ganyan? Anong ginagawa niya?
And to think you were already a pediatrician.
I was already a pediatrician, but I didn't know about his behavior. So sabi ko, kulang yata yung training ko as a pediatrician. So for my children din, sabi ko, mag-dev nga ako para I know what to do. I'll understand what children need to optimize their development.
Okay, which is now where you are. Pero Doktora, through the years in your practice now as a developmental pediatrician, have you seen a rising number of patients or children with special needs, or children who needs more care or more needs? No, they have more needs than the regular age group that they are into. Or would you say na nag-stabilize yung number na yan, o kaya bumaba siya?
Hindi, padami ng padami talaga. Kasi I remember, I was the only DevPed in Pasig. Mag-isa lang ako. And then, because I'm in a training institution, I keep on training more and more pediatricians to become DevPedia. Tapos, nakikita ko, despite, there are more DevPedia, but ang dami-dami pa rin pasyente. So, it's really increasing. When I entered fellowship, ang statistics noon, 1 child with autism for every 500 kids.
1 is to 500?
1 is to 500 when I entered. 20 years now, the statistic is 1 in every 58.
Wow!
Oh.
So, ganun na kadami yung ating mga bata. What would account for that, Doktora? Is it because there's no greater awareness? Is it because you have now trained many developmental pediatricians so that they would be seen, they can be, diagnosed and treated? Or is it really something else that caused a rising number of this kind of patients?
Well, I think it's a combination of a lot of factors. Number one, yung recognizing na before akala, weird lang siya. Parang, something's wrong with that kid. Now, there's a name to it. No? And the science has also shown that ang laki na ng spectrum when you talk about autism, from the mild to the severe. Actually, the mild can function very normally and may not be diagnosed throughout their lifetime. But because now mas aware, and we've seen a lot of children with autism, and they have developed, evolved. So we know that they can change actually from super delayed, they become super advanced, and they can function normally. So, ang laki na spectrum. Plus, I think also, I always say na, I think developmental disabilities and behavioral problems and mental health issues of young people and adults is a lifestyle condition. Kasi ibang-iba na environment natin ngayon. And it is causing a lot of challenges to developing children. So yun, you can look at it, awareness plus the environment. It's really making life difficult for children to develop properly.
And so, pagka ganyan, Doktora, what should we do so that we would be able to help somehow, not just lower the number of cases that we get to see, or maybe lower the number of children that will be born that will have this kind of developmental problems?
Actually, ang ginagawa namin sa PGH ngayon, I've been in practice for 20 years, and parang we're on the same page. Lahat kaming mga who have been in practice for a long time. The bottom line really is parenting. We have to educate parents how to be more effective, how to optimize the development of their child. Kasi there are many things that parents do. They have the best of intentions, but maybe it's not right for the kid, so it's not developmentally appropriate. Mga 5 or 10 years ago, sinasabi na namin sa magulang na, did you know that TV or gadgets not good for your kid?
And that was 10, 12 years ago.
And talagang up to now, nagugulat sila minsan na, ay bawal ba? Kasi they introduce gadgets to as young as a 1-year-old, months old. They're in their playpen.
Nandun na.
Nandun sila sa harap ng screen, ng TV. Nung araw naman, hindi naman 24/7 yung cable, no? I remember when I was growing up, 3 lang channel. Tapos ang cartoons, Saturday lang. Ngayon, 24/7.
At saka nung araw namin, doktora, walang kuryente. So, hindi ka talaga makakapagpanood.
At saka ngayon, yung parang, noon, 10 years back, ang mahal ng cable, di ba? Ang mahal ng wifi. Ngayon, it's becoming more accessible. Kaya parang it's there. And, it is really addictive. I mean, maski adult ka, tarang, di ba, naa-addict ka rin eh.
Nandun ka na lang.
What more a young developing child? It's so bad for their brain development.
So what are the most common cases that you get to see, Doktora, in your practice?
Before age 5, there are usually labels mga language delays. And of course, that's the presenting symptom na delayed sa language. Then when you assess this kid, they're delayed pala in all domains of development.
So hindi lang sa language.
Global delays. But ang global delay, ang question dyan, bakit siya delayed? Okay? So it's not a diagnosis per se, but it's accepted sa DSM-5 to label them as global developmental delay until such time as you know what's causing the delay. So many of these kids, ang delays could be autism. It could be because they're hyperactive, they have a language disorder, or talagang slow sila in general learning. But a bulk of these kids that we're seeing have autism.
And how do you diagnose them? Based on the presentation? And if it's based on presentation muna, what are the manifestations? Kumbaga, red flags, kumbaga, warning signals na ako, young mommy, I get to have my child like this, at this age ganito, so may delay na siya. So what are the symptoms that I need to be watching out for?
Well, I think the most important really is language kasi that's the one that's most obvious to parents. Pero minsan napapansin nila as early as 1 year of age, walang eye contact, the child's not engaging. Kasi even when children don't talk yet, they have other ways to communicate non-verbally. And eye contact is one of those non-verbal forms of communication. Tapos ang 1-year-old, if they can't talk, they will point.
May gestures.
May gestures. And that's, they have an intent to communicate. So if you see a child na parang not engaging, not communicating, and the language is delayed, those are red flags na they're at high risk for autism. But we're not fast to make the diagnosis of autism. Kaya we just say they're at risk. You do a screening kasi may screening test for autism. And all the general pediatricians can do this. It's called the MChat. So if they're at high risk, then you can already do something to intervene at an early age. Meron moderate risk, may low risk din, at may no risk.
So pagka low risk or moderate risk tayo, Doktora, when the intervention is given at a very early age, in other words, dahil naagapan nga natin, what are the probabilities or prognostication for this kind of children na they will grow up to be able to catch up kung ano man yung mga pagkukulang nila?
Well, if you intervene early, there's a much better chance that they also overcome their problems earlier. And there are those na it's not pala autism. So if you do early intervention, kasi a lot of the cause of this is kulang ng, interaction. So walang eye contact dahil they're not interacting with anybody. Their language is delayed because nobody's talking to them.
So most of these, Doktora, therapies ang kailangan, directed therapies, or are they given medications just like the other diseases or disorders that we have?
No, for the very young children, it's the parents who have to be like their therapist. Ang sinasabi ko nga, you're paying somebody else to be a parent to your child. Kasi ang therapist, para siyang personal trainer who plays with your child, who interacts with them. Pero kasi professional, babayaran mo sila 1 hour. Well, young children learn in the context of their natural environment. So dapat constantly, the parents are interacting with this child. So that's the very first step. If you see a 1 or 2-year-old who's not talking, walang eye contact, yung first talaga is changing whatever's happening in the environment. And then yung despite what the parents do, you're trying to optimize development, and still the child is not developing, then you need professional help. And you will also seek a consult kasi baka maybe now it's not the environment, talagang yung bata ang may problema.
And when that happens, how do you deal with that when you talk to the parents na you tell them first, kung ang problem sila naman talaga yung environment. So how do you deal with parents like that, Doktora? Diba? It's kind of difficult also.
Well, I don't blame them, but you teach them how, yung mga strategies, okay, this is the way you teach your child how to talk, and this is the way you play with your child. Simple thing as this is the way you play, this is the way you teach your child, this is the way you respond to your child. When your child is doing this, itong response mo dapat. So I do that in my clinic. And of course, you know, we have busy clinics. Ang dapat nagfa-follow through niyan, yung mga therapists.
So when do you start referring them to the therapists for further help, Doktora? Based on your assessment muna, di po ba?
Yeah.
Because they cannot just go directly to the therapists without you ordering that na, you know, advising the parent na they need a therapy session with this particular therapist.
I give the parents a chance to, you know, do it themselves, and after a few months, kasi medyo mahaba din yung waiting list for therapy. So parang, I don't like parents waiting. You have to empower them. What can they do while they're waiting? And speech therapist, lalo na, mas mahaba ang pila doon.
Kung mahaba daw sa inyo, Doktora, mahaba din daw ang pila nila.
Yes. But the thing is, you don't need a speech therapist to enhance language in a child. The parents can do it. More effectively, actually, kasi ang therapist, 1 hour lang yon.
Ikaw, 24/7 mo kasama
Exactly.
yung bata.
So actually, sinasabi ko din sa therapist, I'm referring to you because you will be like their on-the-job training coach. Gagawin mo sa bata, pero ipapakita mo din sa magulang kung anong dapat nilang gawin sa bahay. Kasi if they only depend on therapy, which is expensive and difficult to access, that will be like 1 or 2 hours a week. It's like if you're having piano lessons. Kung gagawin mo lang, pagka nandyan yung piano teacher mo at hindi ka magpa-practice in between, hindi ka rin gagaling.
That's true.
So I tell the parents, huwag ka aasa sa therapist. Kailangan gawin mo rin every day kung anong strategies tinuturo sa iyo ng therapist.
So aside from autism, Doktora, what else are the commonly, you know, cases that you get to see in your clinic?
Well, I see a lot of children who are hyperactive and inattentive. And this may get in the way of their learning. And the first learning of children is language. Kaya kung sobrang likot yung bata at hindi nagpe-pay attention, they cannot learn the skills or language that we want them to learn. But later on, pag nag-improve na yung attention span, ang bilis na ng catch-up ng language.
Pero nung araw, Doktora, di ba, parang it's no big deal if a child is really hyperactive, goes around the classroom, parang hindi mapakali ang tawag sa kanila niyan eh. Parang there was no problem way back then. But now, parang there's so much focus and attention being directed to this type of children. Sometimes to the effect na even the teachers, you know, would really recommend the child to be transferred somewhere else. Have you encountered parents telling you that?
Well, actually, that's a big problem in the preschool. But let's look at what are the expectations in preschool. Because ang expectation ngayon sa preschool, when I'm so shocked, 3-year-olds are made to draw and copy. 4-year-olds, worksheets. Sabi ko, ang task ng 3 to 5-year-old is to play.
Yes.
Okay? And you're putting them, sabi ko, where else, if you're a little kid, where else can you have other children around you kung hindi sa preschool? Okay? So, syempre, sabik na sabik sila makipaglaro. And then the teachers force them to sit down and do tasks that are developmentally inappropriate. So, yung ano din sabi ko, before we also question the kids, can we look at the expectations of the preschool years? Kasi developmentally, the most important goals of preschool is to communication and social interaction through play. So, sabi ko, writing has no business in preschool. Okay? Eh ano naman academics? Sabi ko, ano bang academics na ituturo mo sa preschool kundi A, B, C, D, or 1, 2, 3? Sabi ko, that's not rocket science.
Anybody can get that.
They already learn it from the internet or from TV. So they go to school. Ang goals dapat ng preschool education is teach these young kids how to behave with other children. So behavior is the main thrust of preschool. So kung malikot, tanggapin malikot sila, turuan sila how to take turns, how to be quiet for a while, how to listen. And it's not overnight. Hindi pwede in 1 month, ang 4-year-old or 3-year-old magbe-behave.
Yes, it's true.
Behavior is something over time, learned over time. When you're young kids are wired to move.
So dapat hindi sila mislabeled po.
Yeah, and they need to move kasi nga ang urban living ngayon, ang mga bata nasa bahay lang, nasa kwarto, o nasa playpen, nasa harap ng TV, they have no movement. The brain of a young child needs movement, and movement organizes the brain. It settles the brain down. Pero itong mga bata natin in this day and age, they're so repressed and suppressed for movement. Wala silang playground. Magugulat ka, wala na marunong ng patintero.
Tumba bato, tumba lata.
Oh, yung mga traditional
ganyan.
games, the kids don't know it anymore. That means they're not moving. That's why their brain is seeking for movement. Because they're wired to move.
And that's the reason why when they go to the preschool or to the elementary grade, levels of their studies, they should not be, kumbaga, tempered so much to the point na nami-mislabel sila na ADHD yan. So, dapat hindi sila po pwede sa programs natin. Di po ba?
Oo nga. Kasi nga parang ang teachers ngayon, nagugulat ako. There are of course exceptions. But in general, sabi pagka sa school ka, kailangang umupo ka. Tumahimik ka. Huwag ka makipag-usap. You cannot move. So baka, that's not, what do you think these kids are?
Robots.
Robots. Parang, the most important thing is to talk. If they're talking, I would even encourage them yung talk. But take turns. So they should know how to take turns, but you shouldn't suppress them. And they should be able to play. Sabik na sabik makipaglaro tong mga bata. Kaya na-excite sila.
That's why they look forward to school days.
So parang ang feeling ng teachers, pag sinabi ko sit down, behave, kailangan sit down, behave.
Ano yung martial law, Doktora?
Exactly. Military school ba mga to?
So when we return po, we'll take a very short break. When we return, we'll try to discuss also a little bit on mental retardation and the globally delayed. And then after that, we'll move forward on the diagnostics that we do. And what can we as a community, as a family together, do to help our children with needs that are, beyond the normal needs of a normal child. Please stay tuned to Hope Channel.
Malungkot. Parang sila, yung hindi nila alam ang kanilang isipan.
Masakit yun para sa akin na sasabihin nila sa akin yun.
Pag nakarinig po ako ng special child, ang una ko pong naisip is meron po silang kakayahan na espesyal na wala po sa iisang normal na tao.
Sa pamamagitan po ng mga kunting tulong sa magagandang pangangatawan.
Depende po sa kanilang kakaibang personality, doon po tayo magfo-focus. For example, kung meron po siyang problema sa kanyang paglalakad, doon po tayo magfo-focus sa kanyang paglalakad, yung tutulungan po natin siya.
Dapat matulungan siya ng pag-aaragwas, unawain ng maayos, kondisyon niya ay maging mapanatag.
In the previous years, we had insufficient knowledge and understanding about people who are born with conditions that stray from what society used to deem as normal process of human development. However, as science continued to advance, we now have a better overview about these rare conditions. People who are born with slight differences in terms of cognitive and physical development are called children with special needs. Today, we give special attention to this topic to raise more awareness. This is Dynamic Living, the Total You.
Welcome back to Dynamic Living, the Total You, with our episode here in the care of children with special needs. With our guest, of course, the specialist, Dr. Stella Guerrero Manalo. Doktora, kanina pinag-usapan natin yung kalikutan ng bata. Is there such a thing also? Isa sa mga nakakarating sa ating mga pansin ay yung tinatawag nilang mentally retarded children or globally delayed children. Ano po ang pagkakaiba nito sa ibang mga disorders na napapansin niyo po?
Well, yung global developmental delay, it's a term we use for children up to 5. Kasi pag 5 years old sila, I don't think it's right na we zero in on predicting their future. So ang global developmental delay just describes them as being delayed, but it doesn't mention etiology. Kaya it's important to know etiology para alam mo how to approach these children. And then yung outcome ng global developmental delay, it could be many things. They could overcome their delays and become
Highly
typical.
functional.
There are some who are extremely bright. From delayed to advanced, it could happen. There are those from delayed that they continue to be delayed. Yun yung mga nililabel natin na intellectually disabled. Parang ang pace of learning nila is really slow up to a certain point in their life. And then, usually by age 10 to 12, medyo they reach their ceiling in terms of academic competency. Okay? But it doesn't mean na, kunyari, hindi ka magiging magaling sa algebra or sa no limitangere, sa literature. It doesn't mean that you cannot do anything in life because not all of us will be engineers or doctors or lawyers. We need people who to produce food. We need people who take care of other people. So, marami namang pwedeng gawin ang mga batang who may not be academically excellent. Okay.
So yan yung mahalaga, Doktora, na iparating natin sa mga magulang na if their children belong to that category or if they happen to have children who are like that, the support system should still be as strong as if the child will, be able to go beyond that globally delayed stage niya.
Okay. Yeah, kasi when they're globally delayed, yun parang, it means that we still don't know what they will become. Kaya for all parents, ang sinasabi ko, it requires hard work to help these children develop because we cannot predict the future. That's the amazing thing about the human brain. Parang it's parang may treasure yan or it's a diamond in the raw. Right now it looks like it's delayed and it's dirty and it's not even shiny or bright. But the more you work on this and you support these children in terms of their learning, they will overcome their weaknesses, and a certain point, but usually by 8 or 9, if they had early intervention, lumalabas na yung galing ng mga bata. And,
so doon papasok, Doktora, yung early intervention at saka early detection, di po ba?
Yeah. Yeah, kasi ang ibig sabihin, any child who is delayed means they need extra help to catch up. So dapat the whole community, teachers and parents should see na these children have to be supported more. They cannot learn like the average child. But kung anong kalalabasan, hindi natin mapipredict.
So how would you, or when do you suggest or advise the parent who gets to see you, Doc, with their children, na you would advise them na ang bata ilagay lang muna doon sa special care, na di ba merong mga special schools, o kaya naman ilagay na natin sa mainstream school?
Medyo those are mga old concepts na parang even the special education actually hindi na siya politically correct nowadays.
Yes.
Okay, so young children need maybe one-on-one. Okay? Siyempre, wala pa silang skills, kailangan one-on-one. Hindi pa sila maka-group learning. And then they transition, as they improve and develop, they can transition into a small group learning. Baka hindi pa nila kaya yung malaking classroom setting.
Kasi di ba yung classroom setting natin, 50 bata sa isa.
Yeah, but then, you know, if you help them, eventually, they may be able to transition into the typical classroom. I have a point here then also is because we're making children fit into a mold. And we're saying that education should be, normal education should be putting 40 to 50 kids in a class.
Which is not.
That is the worst type of learning, okay? But that is for the convenience of the schools, okay? Because it's money earning. If you pack in 50 kids versus 20 kids, you'll have more profits when you have 50 kids.
Kasi mas maraming magbabayad.
Yes, but sino ang bata, wala talaga nakikinabang sa malaking class size because, you know, the teacher doesn't know. The teacher will only know the brightest and the slowest. And all those in between, hindi naman, a teacher cannot keep track of this kid. So actually, for any child, maski walang special needs, the best environment is the small learning groups. So, hindi talaga yung traditional classrooms is not fit for
what's
kids.
What's the appropriate approach, Doctora, to special children with special needs? Like for example, in a community setting. Like for example po, alam naman natin, communities tayo ngayon eh. So, how should the community, you know, treat our children who need special care?
Then we should all realize that we're part of helping this child become better. Hindi yung parang, may problema siya, madaling i-exploit. Kasi yun nangyayari. Pag nabubuli yung bata, pag inuuto, kasi itong bata hindi marunong mag-respond kasi their language delayed or else they have social problems, they don't know how to assert themselves in the community. They are victims. They're the most vulnerable actually. If you look at the whole society, ang pinaka-vulnerable bata. Doon sa mga bata, ang pinaka-vulnerable yung may disability or may delays because they don't have enough language to assert their rights. They don't know how to behave. So they're victimized a lot.
You have this in PGH for the child protection unit po, wherein you are also heading that one. So ang inyo pong target dito are not just children who are being abused by, you know, we know that there are children who are being abused, who are being trafficked, but you are also dealing here with abuses directed towards children with special needs.
No, yung child protection unit is really for all children, all forms of abuse, no? And nakita namin yung mga na-abuse, yung nandun sa child protection unit, 60% of them have intellectual disabilities. Those who are physically abused have ADHD, they have behavioral problems. So talagang yung nakikita mo, ang laking percentage ng abused kids have developmental and behavioral problems. So very connected yung fields.
So dapat kailangan ma-address din natin yan para kahit papaano we would be able to help this kind of children. Pero Doktora, isa din po ngayon ang katanungan natin is, what is the government doing also to be able to help our children with special needs? Remember po, the care of these children, you bring them to the therapists kapag kailangan nilang therapist, medyo may kamahalan din. And so what are we, you know, in the public service, like as medical doctors, as specialists, what are we doing to be able to help this kind of children?
Actually, if you talk about the laws, we have a lot of laws that protect the rights of those with disabilities.
Just the rights, yes.
Yeah. However, kulang ng teeth. Kasi may laws, di ba, na include all, walang discrimination, everybody has the right to education. But children with special needs or children who are different are discriminated based on their diagnosis. Marami ako na-encounter na schools, we cannot accept more than 2 who have autism, or parang, hindi kami tumatanggap ng ganyan na may ADHD. So, nadi-discriminate sila based on their diagnosis. And that totally goes against the law of the land, okay? So, I think the government should put teeth into the laws that they have. Sa health profession naman, kasi right now, ang orientation kasi ng medicine is get a diagnosis.
Yes,
okay?
parang yun talaga yun eh. Evidence-based medicine tayo eh.
diagnosis. Kaso when you're talking about child development and the few developmental pediatricians who are there, ang ano din should be, if you think of a public health approach, there should be parent education on how to best optimize the development of a child. Kasi just by fixing the environment, gumaganda yung outcomes in terms of learning and behavior ng mga bata.
Which you have seen in your practice,
Yes,
Doktora, di ba? Which is really proven because beyond doubt, dahil you have been practicing that for the past 20 years and you get to see the improvement of your children, who gets to see you.
But then, hindi incentivize yung parenting. People minimize it. Ay, parenting lang yan. We're offering parenting classes in PGH and in Medical City. Walang takers. Parang it's not important for parents. How do you incentivize it? Kaya baka kailangan i-PhilHealth. Kasi nga right now, PhilHealth is going to cover for developmental assessment and therapy for children. Maximum of 3 years ang ano ng PhilHealth Z package. Parang 2 assessments per year, 1 initial assessment and 1 parang discharge or parang reassessment, and 90 therapy sessions in a year.
Pero that's for now, no? Bago lang yan, Doktora, no?
Oo, ilo-launch pa lang.
Ilo-launch pa lang, mauuna kayo, di ba, for the
PGH,
launching in PGH. Opo. So you are looking at it as a big help already to the parents and for those who are really struggling economically.
Yes.
But how can they avail of this, Doktora?
First, they have to get PhilHealth. They have to be a PhilHealth member, and then may screening din eh. And then kung magpapa-assess sila, nahahaba din ng pila, then they can avail of the package.
So all government institutions can have this also?
That's I think that is the...
Or pilot ngayon ang PGH?
Pilot ang PGH, but they're going to make it nationwide. So lahat naman ng government centers and hospitals will be able to get this PhilHealth package.
So that's very good news for us, no, for the viewers, na they will now have a better, chance of bringing their children for the diagnostics as well as for the therapies. Kasi economically speaking talaga, it's kind of may kamahalan talaga, Doktora. And that's a fact. Hindi talaga yan biro, di po ba? Now let's talk about the stigma that is attached to our children with special needs. How can we help them out na, kumbaga, yung mga stigma na yan, yung mga discriminations na yan, matanggal natin yan?
O nga, paano nga? It'll take time, I think, kasi having a diagnosis is difficult also for families, and ang reality talaga is we already have a preconception. Once a child has a diagnosis, in our minds, iniisip na natin ganito yung bata, hanggang dito lang siya. So we have to change nga na this perception na itong mga bata ay disabled. Kaya nga sabi, even the term disability, children and individuals are only as disabled as the community allows them to be. If they're not enabled by the community, they will be disabled. Kasi over my 20 years talaga, wala pa akong nakitang bata na hindi natuto. They can learn things, but maybe ang learning, kasi when you talk about academic learning or education, everybody thinks of
grades,
academics. Okay? But alam mo, ang tao iba-iba. There are some who cannot learn academically, pero magaling with their hands.
Skills.
Magaling sila mag-analyze. May mga magagaling nga dyan na talagang mahina sa math, pero ang pag magkarpintero, kuhang-kuha nila yung sukat. So, there are a lot of learning differences. Ang tao hindi para-pareho. But I think our school system is designed only for the top 10%. Na parang,
hindi nila naisip yung 90%.
90% who have other learning styles. And so, if we make children, even the slow learners, academic learners, and their families realize na this isn't the only learning. You can learn other ways. Actually ngayon, ang powerful learning tool, you go back now to the internet. Kasi visual yan eh. Papanood nila, alam ko nang gagawin ko na yan. So it's a powerful teaching tool. And that's, I think, the use of the internet, not to play video games, but for older children, maybe this is the way that they can learn more effectively. Kaysa yung the traditional, uupo ka sa classroom, makikinig ka sa lecture.
Hindi mo naiintindihan yun, Doktora.
Oo.
Kasi hindi mo nakikita, visual kasi tayo, di ba?
Oo. So parang ngayon, parang we have the option to visualize things, and still the classroom we have to listen, and then we have to take a test. Now the tests are very objective. They cannot really truly measure the capabilities of human beings kasi iba-iba talent natin. So bakit ang mini-measure mo lang yung ability to memorize what the teacher dictated in class? So if you start defining the intelligence of any human being based on tests, you're doing a disservice to this person.
Yes, that's
Kasi yung
true.
iba, hindi mo ma-measure yung capabilities nila.
How many developmental pediatricians are there in the entire Philippines, Doktora?
Naku.
Kasi ang alam ko po, kukunti lang po kayo.
Oo nga, parang less than 50 kami.
Oo.
But right now, we have 4 training institutions already. So we can graduate around 10
In a year.
developmental pediatricians a year na.
So that means na we look towards the possibility na kahit papaano the needs will be answered for.
Oo.
Kaya ko po tinanong sa inyo yan, ang susunod ko pang katanungan sa inyo, what gives you so much fulfillment in your practice as a developmental pediatrician?
The fulfillment, sabi ko, I tell my husband, it's a good day today kasi I've seen my patients, they have improved tremendously. You know, parang from nothing, like a year ago not talking, ngayon reading and understanding what they read, that's that possibility. So sabi ko, I'm a witness to miracles every day. When I see how the human spirit and the brain of the child improves and they increase in terms of their capabilities. Kaya sabi ko, one thing I've learned, you cannot predict the outcomes of these children.
So we should not be able to box them all together and say na wala na tong pag-asa.
I never say that. And nakikita ko din, the parents, nakikita it changes families. When they have children like this, it brings out the best of parents and families. So that in itself is a miracle kasi it has changed your approach to life and your approach to relationships. So talagang sabi ko, it's a good day when I see my patients na gumagaling despite all the predictions na hindi sila gagaling.
So yan yung greatest fulfillment niyo po. And what is your vision for developmental pediatrics in the Philippines?
Well, I hope that everybody all the pediatricians can imbibe development and behavior. I mean, it doesn't have to be the sole exclusive of developmental pediatricians. Eventually, sana lahat ng pediatricians, yung paradigm is to help children develop. Even if you cannot diagnose them, you'll be able to assist in their development. Kasi diagnosing them really is how many children there are potentially. Millions yan. Hindi namin kakayanin. So kawawa naman yung mga iba na hindi ma-diagnose. But at least yung natutulungan sila ng family, ng parents, ng school system to bring out the best in these children. So ang gusto ko for the future is that each person is respected for their abilities or their weaknesses. And later on, na parang we embrace everybody's different, but everybody still has a right to good health, to a good life, and to a good education. Parang don't deprive them just because
they're different.
They're different. So, yung anak nga ng colleague ko, my pediatric colleague, her son has autism. He wrote a book, Different but Not Less. I have autism, I'm different, but I'm not any less than any other human being.
Napakaganda po niyan, Doktora, which susundan ko po ang katanungan niya na they are different but they are never less than the others, no? And they have the right also to respect and dignity of life. So ano po ngayon dapat ang magiging role o papel na gagampanan ng bawat pamilya ng sambayan ng Pilipino?
I think they'll have to advocate for their child. And also for those who don't have, those who are blessed with kids na walang problema, parang you have to, ako sinasabi ko, you have to be thankful if your child will encounter a child who is different, who has special needs, because it brings out compassion and kindness in your child. Yun ang learning ng anak mo. Your child may be the brightest, may be very intelligent, walang behavioral problems. But if they encounter a child who has less, then they will learn to be compassionate and tolerant. So, dapat minimix sila sa school eh.
Opo.
Okay,
I also believe, Doktora, dapat ganun eh.
Kasi yung sinasabi ko, social learning. School is not all about academic learning. And academic learning will soon be obsolete because you can learn everything off the internet. What you cannot learn is social skills and human values because you have to be with other human beings to interact and learn that. So ang school system, if there's somebody who's different and you teach other kids to embrace the difference and to help these children because you have more, this child has less, tulungan mo, we will in totality become a better society later on.
Yes, kasi itong mga kabataan natin, sila yung sandigan at they're going to be the building blocks of our communities. So by teaching them to be able to help those who need the help, will actually make them better citizens of this country. Maraming salamat po, Doktora, for your time. And before ko po i-end at magbigay kayo ng mensahe niyo sa mga tagapagpanood, what are the advocacies that are closest to your heart now? And that you are very happily working on?
Well, my advocacy is really, I guess, the two fields that I'm in. It's in developmental pediatrics. It's advocating for the rights of those who are different. They're not less, they're just different. And for society as a whole, school, family, school, and society, to accept people despite their differences. Kasi that's what it's all about, di ba? All of us are different. It's just some are more obviously different than others. And also, alam mo different, please do not exploit and bully or tease. Respect them for their differences. And just because they're different, don't ostracize them. Include them. Make them feel comfortable. Help them. To enable them. Then they will not be disabled anymore.
Yes. Thank you, Doktora. Napakaganda po. So ano pong mensahe niyo at panawagan sa mga magulang, sa community natin, at sa government din natin?
Sa mga magulang, for those with the children with special needs, ipaglaban yung karapatan nila. Okay, it's an uphill battle. You have to fight school systems and other people's biases. And for those who see children there who are different, don't judge them. And don't try excluding them, saying na baka mahawaan yung anak mo kasi I hear lots of that.
May mga ganyan, Doktora.
Oo, na dahil iba, kawawa yung anak ko, bakit kaya kasama yung less abled? You should be thankful that they are teaching your child to be more compassionate. And you teach your child to respect such an individual. Okay? Because itong mga children who are different, are really, ang rights nila, hindi nila nakakamtan eh. Sila yung discriminated eh. So, iba kasing parents sasabihin, paano yung right ng anak ko na normal? Sabi ko, walang problema yung rights nila eh. Kasi the school system is actually skewed to their advantage. Ang kawawa dito sa school system natin, yung mga naiiba. Iba ang takbo ng isip, iba yung learning style, dihado sila. And even sa high school and college, we have to continue to fight for the school system to accommodate them. Like just giving them 1 more hour to take a test. Or pwede ba iuwi na yung test. Yung gusto nila kasi, time pressure, parang in 1 hour you have to finish this. This kid needs 2 hours to finish it. Hindi daw fair. But is life fair na binigyan ng disability yung batang to?
That's true. Okay? So dear viewers, narinig po natin ang ating specialist here, si Doktora, at marami po tayong natutunan sa kanya. Tandaan po natin, bawat bata is made by God in a very unique manner. And for such, we should be able to give them the love, the acceptance, and the respect and dignity that they require also. And even in the Bible, it says, let the children come to me. That is a calling from the Lord. And so we should not forget that these children are treasures and gifts entrusted to our hands. Magandang araw po sa ating lahat.
Dynamic living, making the best
If you have been blessed by this program, share hope and help us continue to bring hope everywhere. Send your donations to South Philippine Union Conference through any of the bank details shown here. Hope Channel, sharing love, changing lives.
I am suggesting that since we are going to revise the Constitution, hindi naman po pwede na magpasa ka lang ng batas.
Hindi biro ang mga hamong hinaharap ng isang taos-pusong public servant. Kaya kinakailangang maging matatag at malusog ang puso, isipan at lalo na ang katawan. Makakamtan ang lahat ng ito sa pamamagitan ng iyong healthy choices. Alamin ang kahalagahan ng ating mga pagpipili araw-araw. Get your copy now!
Salamat sa pagatiman sa ako lang ha.